Customizing Workspaces. This podcast is at the intermediate level. It requires some knowledge of Accordance Bible software, but no knowledge of Hebrew or Greek. I have a favorite chair for reading. It's beside my fireplace, next to a table for my coffee, and beside a good reading lamp. It's where I do my best thinking. Accordance allows you to personalize your Bible study workspace in exactly the same way. While we can't offer you a fireplace or even a good cup of coffee, we can offer you the opportunity to personalize your workspace just as you'd like. In this podcast, we'll cover how to construct a custom workspace of your very own in 6 easy steps. 1. Select a search text. 2. Add additional panes. 3. Adjust the layout. 4. Customize each pane. 5. Include other tabs. And 6. Save as a favorite. In fact, we'll cover how to go from a blank workspace like this to a simple one like this, all the way to something very elaborate like this. First, let's make sure we're using the same terms. The entire window you see above is called a workspace. It's divided into 2 major sections, the search entry section and the search results section. Depending on the complexity of your workspace, the search results section may be divided into 1 or more panes, and the workspace itself may contain 1 or more tabs. With that in mind, let's build a custom workspace of our own in Accordance. Let's begin building that custom workspace we talked about, using the 6 steps I mentioned earlier. First, if you already have a workspace open, it's probably a good idea to open a blank workspace from the File menu. Then, go ahead and open your new text. You can do it through the File menu also, or simply type Command N. Once you're there, you'll notice the more familiar Accordance workspace, and this is the blank slate, so to speak, we're going to begin working with. The first thing I'm going to do is to shift my text from the NRSV to the NRSV-S. That little S at the end indicates that it's one of a group of key number texts that have every word tagged to the appropriate Strong's reference number. Now I'm ready for step 2, which is add additional panes. There are 3 kinds of panes that I can add to an Accordance window. I can add a text pane, I can add a reference tool pane, or I can add a user notes pane. I'm not going to add any text, but what I am going to do is to add 3 of the IVP commentaries. The New Bible Commentary, the Hard Sayings Commentary, as well as the Old Testament Commentary. And because I have the NRSV text open, I think I'll go ahead and add NRSV notes as well. Now here are my 4 additional panes, listed across the bottom. At this point, I'm ready to adjust the layout, but before I do that, I want to show you how nice it is to be able to do a word search, let's say for something like the word covenant, and to be able to go through the various hits. And in each case, notice that these 3 commentaries and the NRSV notes also scroll with me. That means that whatever the verse at the top of my search results window is, the commentary is going to be relevant to that particular verse. It's one of the advantages of having these commentaries scroll along this way. Well, let's begin rearranging these. I think the only thing I want to do is to change the orientation of this NRSV notes so it's beside my text, and I do that by clicking the orientation icon. I will go ahead and resize the NRSV by dragging that bar to the right, giving it more room than the notes. And by the way, I have the New Bible Commentary here. I think that I will grab the IVP Old Testament Backgrounds Commentary like this. I grab the title bar and drag it to the right, and then let it go, and you'll notice that I've now rearranged these panes as well. Now we're ready for step 4, which is customize each pane. I can do that in a number of ways. The first pane I'm going to customize is the NRSV notes. I'm pressing the Control key down. I'm going to click and drag it down to Set Tool Display. I think that I can have this text a bit smaller, maybe even go down to 10 point, and I think I'll go ahead and make the text gray. If I make everything just a little bit smaller, then perhaps that will enable me to see, make that gray as well, perhaps that will enable me to spend more time on the text than my notes. And you can see the changes are reflected immediately in the pane. I'm going to shift to the New Bible Commentary, like so, and instead of pressing Control and then clicking, I'm going to go ahead here and press Command T. Once again, we have the text setting box, and this time I'm going to pick some highly contrasting colors. For instance, navy, contrasted with something like sky. Go ahead and take the search highlighting, and we'll change it to teal, as well as the hyperlink. Might as well adjust the leading a little bit. And again, your preferences here are going to be different than mine. And click OK. And you'll notice this has changed as well. I'm going to do one more, this time with the Control-Click combo. The reason I wanted to do this is I want to show you that you can change the font, which we won't do, and you can select a custom color, which we will. Simply go down to Choose Custom Color. One of the colors that I particularly like is a variation of the mocha in Apple's Crayon box. I like the color, but it's just a shade too light for reading. So if I go to the color wheel and drag this contrast bar down, I can get this very deep, rich chocolate that I prefer. I'm going to click OK on that. I'll just choose the regular brown for both the search highlighting and for the hypertext links. And then for the text, I can go ahead and choose that parchment color. Now take a look at how nicely this changes. All right, well, step number 5 is to include other tabs, and there are a couple of ways to do this. One is to use the library, and here under General Tools, I'm going to double-click the IVP New Bible Atlas. That works particularly well in a tab by its own, because then it's easy to find the maps that we want using the browser. So if I want the Exodus, let's say, I can simply click there and I'll know that I'm in the relevant section. The other way to add a tab is to go over to text and making sure I don't have anything selected in my workspace, simply to click the relevant icon, in this case, Texts. Apparently I do have something selected. Let's unselect it, and I'll click Text. There we go. You'll notice that the ESV opened, but I want to add a number of different texts to this particular tab. So I'm going to add the NRSV, I'm going to add the NAS 95S, as well as the NKJVS. You'll notice, in fact, what I'm doing is selecting all of my Strong's texts. And there we have them. I can even rearrange them completely by clicking this orientation, the major orientation button, and that changes this to horizontal versus vertical orientation. I'm going to change the name of this tab from just ESVS to something a bit more appropriate. I'm going to call it Translations, since I have more than one translation here, and I'm going to drag it in the same way that I drug that pane earlier, so that I have the NRSV with its commentaries, the various translations, and then the IVP New Bible Atlas. All I have to do now is step 6, which is to save it as one of my favorites. I'll save it, and I think I will call it the NRSVS IVP Workspace. I'll click Save, and now that I've saved it as a workspace, I can go down here to the plus and say, I'd like to add that favorite workspace. And you'll notice right here, it's now under my favorite workspaces, NRSV S IVP. If you'd like more information on this topic, let me recommend 3 other podcasts. The ESV Study Bible includes another example of a custom workspace. Bible and Text Displays provides more information on custom text displays, and the Essential IVP Reference Set covers the contents of that collection. All these are available through iTunes or on our website, AccordanceBible.com. This has been Dr. J for Accordance Bible Software. Thank you for watching this episode of Lighting the Lamp.